All right, guys, so we got to talk about Carli Lloyd, who is probably the only U.S. women's soccer player in recent history that I actually have respect for, because during the George Floydification of America, while the rest of the woke revolutionaries on that team were kneeling for the national anthem to score woke points and to build their brand and to get endorsements and whatnot, aka Megan Rapinoe, the blue-haired rascal that is currently wasting away on the bench, right, on the U.S. women's soccer team during the World Cup. She refused to kneel, okay? She refused to bend to the mob, and she stood up proudly for the anthem while her teammates kneeled, okay? While they folded under the pressure of the woke mob to disrespect this country, okay? And Carli Lloyd is actually speaking out against her old team. She took a sledgehammer to them in response to her team celebrating a draw, aka mediocrity, after barely surviving the World Cup. Now, if you guys don't know, again, the women's soccer team is currently in the World Cup. They were ranked first going into this World Cup tournament, which means they're expected to win. However, they have been struggling. They've only won one game, and they've tied 2 in the group stage, okay? They were heavily favored to beat Portugal, but ended the game in a scoreless draw. I mean, they could easily be sitting home because they could have easily lost, right? And Carli Lloyd, again, she took a sledgehammer to her former team because in America, we used to not accept anything below excellence. But for whatever reason, the U.S. women's soccer team was celebrating. They were kikiing, ha-ha, and then laughing, despite almost being eliminated by a significantly worse opponent. Take a listen at the audio of Carli Lloyd and the analysts talk about the U.S. women's soccer team celebrating what basically was almost failure. Take a look.
These are not the images we should be expecting to see from a team that survived Portugal and survived to get to the round of 16.
What?
I appreciate them taking care of the fans, but let me tell you, Carli Lloyd's butt would be back in the locker room kicking things, throwing things.
I have never witnessed, and just seeing these images for the first time right now on the desk, I have never witnessed something like that. There's a difference between being respectful of the fans and saying hello to your family, but to be dancing, to be smiling. I mean, the player of the match was that post. You were lucky to not be going home right now.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking since the end of this game, Carli, and I'm going to go back to it because it's not just about grumpy old man and grumpy old womaning type of situation. And you've been there. You have done that with this team. And the Vlatko thing, not talking after the game, I'm not really that concerned with. But ultimately, whether it's Kelly O'Hara or anybody else, there has to be a come to Jesus type of moment for this team, with the recognition of some of the things that Carli is talking about, in understanding that all of the good and all of the positive and all of the fame and all the fortune and all the attention that you get is based off of one thing, all right? It's not because you're incredible as a person. It's because you're incredible as a soccer player and you win on a consistent basis. And America loves winners. And all of those accolades and all of that praise has come because you have won. And when you play now 2 games in a row where America is watching, and in this case, America is staying up in the middle of the night to watch, and that's the type of performance that you come up with, that's not living up to the ideals and the standard that have come before. And so whether it's Kelly O'Hara or anybody else, that's got to be made damn clear that it's not about the suits that you wear to the game. It's not about all the other stuff that you get. Ultimately, that whistle blows, and there's a reason why all of that other stuff comes. It's because you are the best in the world. And for 2 games now, and maybe even arguably for 3 games right now, they have been anything close to the best in the world.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that, right? It's hard to disagree with that analysis there from Carli Lloyd and some of the analysts there that work for Fox, okay? Now, I actually want to go ahead and play the coach's response to some of this criticism before I actually comment on this, because again, I think this story is an important story because it does have broader impact in regards to how in this country we have lowered our standards, okay, in regards to what we find to be acceptable, okay, for Americans. So I want to go ahead and play the coach's response to this, just to be fair, because he's calling these comments insane. Take a look.
Carli Lloyd, after the game, blasted the team, saying the performance was lackluster and uninspiring, adding that they don't seem to be showing passion and look like they're taking things for granted. Other commentators on Fox also referred to them as 11 bears in hibernation. Is there anything you want to say in response?
I mean, the one thing that I want to say is that this team wanted to win this game more than anything else, and they've put everything they could in preparation for this tournament and in every game that they go. So to question the mentality of this team, to question the willingness to win, to compete, I think it's insane. But I've never seen this team step on the field and not try hard or not compete. So everyone is entitled to opinion, and that they can say they can say whatever they want. But I just know how this team feels, and it's not like we played well by any means. We owned it. We know it's not good enough. We know we're not happy with our performance, but it's. We qualified for the next round.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Okay, he is standing up for his players, and unsurprisingly so. I mean, he's not going to come out here and criticize them like that, right? He's obviously going to defend them, okay, in light of all this stuff. But again, before I get into my commentary on this, I want to play one more clip here. And this is about Brittney Griner, who basically is allegedly taking a break, right? She's taking a mental health break from playing in the WNBA. And I want to play this clip real quick because I want to talk about all of this at one time, because all this stuff is kind of related, and it really just goes to show you just the state of women's sports and the expectations that we have for our athletes and just our people, like just American people in general. It really is a sad state of affairs. So I want to go ahead and play this clip.
WNBA star Brittney Griner is taking a break from basketball to focus on her mental health. The Phoenix Mercury announced on Saturday the All-Star would not travel with the team to the Midwest to play last night or in tomorrow's matchup. Griner, as you know, returned to the league back in May after she was detained in Russia for nearly a year. Nancy Chen has more on this story.
6'9" center Brittney Griner was noticeably absent. The day before, Phoenix announced Griner will not travel with the team on its upcoming 2-game road trip to focus on her mental health, adding that the Mercury fully support Brittney and we will continue to work together on a timeline for her return. Griner was arrested in Russia last year and spent nearly 10 months detained in the country. She was freed in December in a prisoner exchange. Less than 6 months after arriving home, Griner hit the court again.
You know, I'm no stranger to hard times, so.
Before her WNBA return, Griner spoke about resiliency.
You know, you're going to be faced with adversities throughout your life. This was a pretty big one, but I just kind of relied on my hard work, getting through it. You find a way to just grind it out. Just put your head down and just keep going. Just keep moving forward.
For CBS Mornings, I'm Nancy Chen in New York.
Yeah, so what is the takeaway from all this, right? Well, the main takeaway here is that the standards that we have for just Americans in general, including our athletes, are so low, right? I think Carli Lloyd and her assessment of the U.S. women's soccer team is on point, okay? I think it is a representation of the fact that we don't have high expectations for each other anymore. Like, excellence is not the standard. Now, I played sports in high school and middle school and all my life. And I wasn't necessarily the greatest player in the world, right? But I was on some winning teams. I've actually played with NFL athletes. And, you know, when you barely beat a team that you're supposed to blow out, that's nothing to celebrate, right? That's nothing to be out there on the field and, you know, having a good time and kiki and ha-haing about, right? When the standard is excellence, when you know you're supposed to blow out the other team because you are significantly better than that team, and then you come out and you underperform all the way to the point where you could have lost. You could have very easily lost. Again, you're not supposed to be happy about that, right? You're supposed to be like, we put on a terrible performance. We were bad. We were horrible, right? We're lucky to still be in the tournament. We have to come out here and play way better next time, or we're going to get eliminated, because if we don't win the whole thing, we failed, right? We failed as country. That used to be the standard. That used to be what we expected out of our athletes. That used to be what we expected out of our students. We don't expect that out of our students anymore, right? It's okay for our students to be mediocre, right? I mean, look at what they're doing in these liberal schools. They're taking away tests, standardized tests. They're not grading kids anymore based on merit, because the expectation is so much lower. They expect kids to not perform well. They don't hold kids to a high standard. And again, it's important because athletics is kind of a representation of life. And so it seems through athletics, we are seeing a representation of a broader problem that we have in society. This participation trophy culture that we have, where, you know, you're supposed to celebrate mediocrity. And that's not what America is. We don't celebrate mediocrity in this country. Right? We don't celebrate just showing up. We don't celebrate the bare minimum. We're supposed to celebrate the best of the best. We're supposed to celebrate the winners, and we shame the losers, right? It's not enough just to barely get by and to barely do enough. No. You need to be performing at an excellent level, and you need to be performing at an excellent level consistently. Anything short of that is failure, right? Anything short of excellence on a consistent and daily basis, day in and day out, is failure. Is not enough. But again, that's not the standard anymore. We celebrate losers. We're totally fine with just getting by, right? Just doing the bare minimum. It's okay. Everybody gets a trophy because we don't want people's feelings to get hurt. And again, I understand that there's a lot of people that are rooting against the U.S. women's soccer team. Right? It seems like everything they do, they can't do anything right. But again, they haven't helped themselves because they go out of their way to worry about off the field stuff, what they're wearing, their blue hair, how woke they are, making sure they show the world that they don't respect our country, okay, by not proudly singing the national anthem or not standing for the national anthem or whatever they're doing. And then they get on the field and they're laying an egg, right? Which, I mean, hey, some people, you know, because of how unpatriotic they are, there's a lot of people that are actually happy to see the U.S. women's soccer team struggling. But I'm not. Because at the end of the day, I understand they represent this country on the world stage, and I want our country to win. I want our country to be the best at everything, whether that's athletics, academics, economic, whatever. We need to be the best. We need to be number one. Anything short of number one is a disaster. Number two means that you lost. And that brings me to Brittney Griner. She's out here taking mental health breaks. Mental health breaks? You're a basketball player. You play in the WNBA. You should be thankful that you're even allowed to play basketball at all, because you could easily be in prison. Because if I was her, I wouldn't need no mental health break. I'd be balling all day. Happy. But you need to take a mental health break for what? You play basketball. You put a ball in a hoop for a living, and you need to take a mental health break? I don't get it. I don't understand. Right? What do you need a mental health break for? Again, it just sounds like this soft stuff that you're seeing all over, you know, the workforce, where you got people taking these mental health breaks and all types of crazy stuff. And it's like, I don't get it. I don't understand it. When I was in corporate America, I hated it, but I never took a day off unless I absolutely had to. I never take a day off. Rain, sleet, snow, I never took a day off. Even when I work for myself, which I do now, I don't take a day off. Need a break for what? I'm a machine. One of my favorite players ever, Kobe Bryant. Right? There's so many stories about Kobe and his work ethic. God rest his soul. The guy worked day in and day out. I could never imagine him coming out here and saying, well, I need to take a few days off. I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna leave because I need a mental health break. I could never imagine it. I could never imagine it. And then people wonder why just in general, people have more respect for men's sports than women's sports. Because again, when it comes to the women's sports, right, it seems that, hey, we're celebrating mediocrity, right? These people, they're out here taking mental health breaks and all types of stuff that you just don't really see all that much in men's sports. Maybe you do sometimes, but I'm just saying. I'm not with this. I don't understand this culture that we've developed in this country where we think it's cool to just celebrate mediocrity. Oh, the bare minimum is okay. Oh, we just got by, right? Let's take a mental health break. I don't get it. I'm just saying. I think what Carli Lloyd said was spot on. I think they do deserve criticism because if you are the number one team, you need to be consistently blowing out your opponents, especially when you are expected to dominate. You need to dominate, and if you're not dominating, you shouldn't be celebrating. You should be going straight back into the locker room and figuring out how to get better, right? How to perform at the level you're supposed to be performing. But hey, that's just me. I don't know, right? I just thought this story was interesting. I think it is a representation of a broader problem that we have in this country where we have lower standards for everybody, so it seems. And it's really kind of disappointing. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.